Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first Open Treasury operations session. This with the start of quarter 1, we are going to have more collective operations on how do we audit the Treasury transactions, also share an insight of how do we use the tools and lessons, and basically teaching each other how to use it. For this first session, I will start with a small presentation of an overview of the color coding of the tools, and giving a general overview on what the tool is doing. And then we jump straight into operations. I will not record operations, so if you're interested, this is something that happens every week. So if you join, you won't miss out. The tasks will be different, but the activities are usually all the same. Right now, of course, in the Treasury pool side, there is this. The proposals are not yet amended or accepted, but there are incentives also included. Actually, increase the incentive amount. So if you are learning and the part of learning, which means that you are actually the driver's seat instead of me talking, you are doing things, exporting, importing, changing, pressing the buttons, validating stuff. We will still be here. We will be seeing how you do and check in if there is any issues or. But if you take that role and that kind of risk of just doing stuff and trying to mess stuff up, that may happen. We also do mistakes, but that's the learning process. Then ideally it's rewarded like $100 per session. But this is highly rewarded because this may take quite several hours, especially at the early times. Even for me, I've been doing it now for almost a year. Sometimes the session we spend like 2 or 3 hours per call because errors happens, or basically if it takes a lot of time, then usually error happens. But there are situations where there are just hundreds of contributions too, and that kind of adds up to the time it takes to deliver the result we're all expecting, that is distributing funds and showing it on metadata as good as possible. But yeah, going now into this Excel stuff. So on the Miro board, I took pictures of each Excel sheet, and in the first sheet that will be called insert contributions, we basically do 2 things. We are doing accounting and auditing. So I have button color codes. So we zoom in a little, and there are these buttons on top of the table, and they have different colors and they have different meaning. And usually the flow of the buttons is left to right, so that here on the left side you can see Open Twork Exporter, Manage Import Folder, and they are related to data support and import and calculation stuff. And so buttons that help to import. So usually the first thing we do is getting data into the Excel. Next colors are data import to Excel, which is more actually, okay, one is getting it into system in different folders, correct folders where we can start reading the data, and the blue ones are then importing into this specific Excel sheet. So load file and find wallet or load all files, they will kind of populate information in this Excel sheet. Then we have reset Excel filter or custom Excel filters. So purple colors, these are basically like quick options to create filters on the table itself. Excel itself has built-in filtering sequences too, but that just leverages a few clicks less. So if you click filter in here, it's up in front, it just filters everything out. It unfilters if it already has filter, and all this kind of like a good reset button. And filter return message also has this slight automation in point that it filters only error rows and filters out everything else. So it's like convenient buttons. Deleting or moving data, these are addressed red. Some of them are light red, and because they're like next to each other and easier to distinguish. And these are like these danger buttons. So if you click, then you make sure you know why you click it, because it can just move or delete stuff away from the Excel, and in order to get it back, you may need to do another import round or some manual inputting. Then there are some white ones, and these are either under development or about to be phased out. So because this Excel is also constantly evolving every week or nowadays we get new buttons or new features, and then or sometimes it causes some features not needed, but instead of just deleting it and kind of making it totally gone, we make it white first to kind of give the insight that this button is going away or this button is coming up. So for now we have like move task to done, which is we cannot automate the dwork task side where we have to manually move in tasks in dwork. But perhaps there is a future possibility or some other way that we could do that. And then load dwork tasks is like directly loading data from dwork into Excel. We have an API access, but I haven't fully finished yet, so that's why it's white. If you click something like that, then it will just give you, hey, this is unfinished. Now on the second group of button colors is data transformation to current Excel table. So finding task label, refresh return message, add date to task name. These change or update existing data. So if you already have information in here and you click it, something may happen based on pre-automation and the configurations. Update configuration tables. There's only one button here, add to conf. This updates a different table based on the information on this main sheet. And update data tables and can update configuration tables. So a slight greener kernel, this will now do multiple updates. So like basically combination of this light one and the green one, and then updates critical configuration and data tables is dark green one, and that's the only registered wallet owner. So here we don't want to have any mix-ups, so let's color even more. So all of them are related to updating now data tables or information, but yeah, color coded them in different colors just to have some kind of change and like difference in them. Then these are like the main general like color coding. Like I mentioned, we move from left to right, so we start with importing, then we import into the Excel itself, then we do some kind of data updating or like automation, and we may need to clear some data. And then once this all done, we then add it to the database, and finally we archive all of that information. So if there are any issues or something, we can look backwards and see where the issue came from and perhaps potentially automate the mistakes away. There are some columns that are missing. So also the coloring of these columns are different. So orange ones are basically the main data we are collecting. The yellow ones are generated support data, and so these labels happen based on like configurations, and the gray ones are optional data. So these are like extra information that is provided to us that we can use to populate the extra information. For example, here is task creator that can be used to see who is doing task. As before, we had this like policy rule in ambassador program that only work group leads can create tasks or ambassadors, and that kind of gave us a good column to make sure that it's there, but we didn't put never that into the database, which was just for the auditing case. Of course, there's a dwork task points that we don't use dwork task points straight, but we take that number and turn it into tokens, and that is a good way to compare again, is the task points provided, all the configuration options on top of that, does it provide correct output? There are also hidden columns, and these are hidden so that this is like a new version. This is like a compact where when we start like doing at the very beginning, we usually do like date check, and then we can expand the new columns, and it will show also suggested date, the task creation date, and Discord name. And so we have all of them at the same. Okay, the Discord name is related to the wallet owner and wallet registration. And so we have kind of the columns more closer to each other. But once you done the date check, you don't really need these columns anymore. And so then you can collapse the area and have a better visualization instead of like a huge row where we have to always move back and forth. And yeah, there are some other hidden columns, and we get to all of them in when we start doing operations. Probably not all buttons, but yeah. And on the bottom, also the sheet tabs have their color coding. In general, white ones are hidden tabs. So for example, var global variables. So this is something I can show how it looks like. This is like an automated part where I basically use it for coding. In Excel's, I use, of course, the Excel functions too, but I have built my own kind of global functions on top of that. And they use a bit of a different mechanic to find out what position somewhere is in Excel. And this is like a registry I help to create with automation. And that's not really needed by anybody else, but the person who is actually writing a code. The green ones, data and transformation tabs. So we have two of them. One is insert contributions and another one is bundle transactions. So when we do import stuff and audit it, then we do data transformations. And when we actually start exporting and creating the bundle transaction, we also may change the wallet addresses or rewards or stuff like that. Then we have an audit page, which we actually never used so far. I demoed it, but we didn't go into it. So the idea of like having voting weights based on what work groups you initiated, how much time you spent. So with this Mara board voting. But maybe one day it will come back, maybe in a different Excel, but right now it's just in here. And then blue ones that are data tables, so all kinds of different, basically consider them as data tables, but they are inside sheet. Contributions or the list, this is like the common thing you all see. This is the one that is also exported out, but we have also like the relation with task tables, token distribution, wallets, contacts, like a separate wallet for them. And these are made so much difference because of when we started using Power BI, instead of like taking the contributions and creating the table structure out of that, and to make it computationally less like intensive and much easier to kind of create Power BI, these some relation tables were like taken out. Finally, some configurations, which we will go also into the day, like setting up roles, general configurations and token configurations, where like what are the policies and such. So that is it for the like the main tool that we use today. We also have the accounting audit, the transaction builder. Here it will be much simpler. Basically, we just press the refresh button, it pulls out all the in the tasks that have not yet been paid, and then we filter out everybody that doesn't have wallet address yet associated. And yeah, then we check if the byte amounts are correct. That with Cardano blockchain, we cannot have too much big data, like metadata. So we may have to do some like cutting of which contributors we reward in first bundle and which second. And then we also convert the dollars amount into AJAX. And from that, we get the JSON file, which we then use on the tab file. Then we have rest of the sheets are the data tables I share and some configuration sheets for the token stuff, and then the like automation support and some file location information on here. Yep, that would be it for the like general overview. Any questions about this, or shall we get into actual Excel file now? Okay, if not, then I will stop recording here